The galaxy was full of wonders, but even after thousands of years of exploration, some places were still wrapped in mystery. The Galactic Scientific Council, made up of hundreds of alien species, believed they had seen everything. They had studied black holes, plasma stars, frozen moons, and worlds of fire. Yet nothing could have prepared them for what they found beyond the Orion expanse, a planet no one believed could exist. The discovery started with a routine exploration mission. The research vessel Ecliptor, a silver ship shaped like a crescent moon, drifted silently at the edge of a dying star system. Its crew of scientists had been scanning nearby planets for life. Most of the worlds were barren or filled with toxic gas. Then suddenly one of the scanners started flashing red. Dr. Velix, a xenobiologist from the Arakan species, leaned closer to the screen. His long fingers tapped the controls nervously. "That cannot be right," he whispered. "The readings are impossible." Captain Rohr, a strong reptilian from the Draxan race, turned his yellow eyes toward him. "Report, Doctor. What did you find?" Velix stared at the data. "It's a Class 14 Deathworld, Captain." The room went silent. Class 14? That was far beyond anything ever recorded. The most dangerous world known before this was Class 12, a volcanic nightmare that had destroyed 5 expeditions. Class 14 should not exist, and if it did, no life could possibly survive there. The crew exchanged uneasy looks. "Maybe it's a system error," said Ensign Lyra, a young alien technician with glowing blue eyes. "The sensors might be damaged by solar radiation." But Velix shook his head slowly. "No, the readings are clear. The planet has violent storms every 3 hours, surface radiation that shifts unpredictably, and tectonic activity that changes its shape constantly. Even the gravity fluctuates." He paused, then frowned. "But there's something stranger. A signal." Captain Rohr leaned forward. "A signal?" "Yes, a beacon, a mechanical, structured, and ancient. But the frequency—" Velix adjusted the scanner, and his 4 eyes widened in disbelief. "It's human." The word human spread through the ship like a spark through dry grass. Everyone knew of the humans, the young, unpredictable species from the spiral arm who had spread faster than anyone expected. They were famous for their bravery, creativity, and sometimes their madness. They lived on worlds other species called too hot, too cold, too dry, or too wild. But a Class 14 death world? That was beyond even human limits. Captain Rohr crossed his arms. "Prepare a deep scan. Let's see what these humans have gotten themselves into." Hours passed as the Ecliptor orbited the violent planet. The view from space was terrifying. Black clouds the size of continents rolled over glowing red oceans. Lightning storms twisted like serpents across the sky, and volcanoes erupted in chains that could be seen from orbit. The atmosphere itself seemed to shimmer with unstable energy. Yet somewhere in all that chaos, a faint human beacon pulsed, steady and strong. Velix watched the readings and shook his head. "That signal has been active for at least 70 years. How can that be? No ship could survive landing there. Unless," Captain Rohr said softly, "they never left." The council ordered the scientists to investigate. Soon a team of specialists from different species joined the Ecliptor. They built protective drones, heat-resistant suits, and shields against radiation. Every precaution was taken. No one expected to find survivors. They only hoped to collect data for study. On the day of descent, the mood on the ship was tense. Even the engines hummed nervously as they approached the storming world. Velix looked at the planet below, its dark clouds flashing with electric fire. "Class 14, he muttered. "A world made by chaos." The landing drones were released first. They dived into the thick atmosphere, vanishing within seconds. Their live feeds flickered with static. One by one, their signals went dark. Only one drone managed to send a brief image before being destroyed. A glimpse of metal towers rising from the ground, shaped like lightning rods. Then nothing. "Destroyed," said Ensign Lyra. "All of them." But Velix was staring at the last image. He pointed to the towers. "Those are not natural formations. Someone built them." Captain Rohr frowned. "Humans?" "It must be. Only humans would build cities in a storm like that." With all other drones lost, the Council gave permission for a manned probe, a risk that no other species would have taken. But curiosity was stronger than fear. The small landing vessel Pathfinder was launched with a remote crew and heavy shielding. Velix controlled it from the Ecliptor, guiding it carefully through the storm clouds. The ship rattled as winds howled around it. Lightning flashed so close that the sensors went blind. Holding steady, Velix whispered. The pressure readings jumped higher. We're through the outer atmosphere. Suddenly the screen cleared, and the scientists gasped. Below them lay a massive city built from black stone and shining metal. It stood on cliffs of hardened lava, surrounded by rivers of glowing magma. Giant towers reached into the sky, their tops capturing lightning and channeling it into energy grids. There were green fields growing near the edges, plants unlike any known species thriving in the toxic air. And walking among the towers were people, humans, hundreds of them. They wore heavy armor suits, but their faces were visible through clear visors. They moved confidently through the smoke and wind, repairing equipment, harvesting strange crops, and talking through communication devices. One of them, a woman with a red flag painted on her shoulder, looked straight up, directly into the camera lens of the probe, and smiled. Then the feed cut out. The control room erupted in noise. "They're alive!" shouted Lyra. "It's true, humans are living there." Velix could hardly believe it. "Impossible," he whispered. "No one can live on a Class 14 world. The air alone would destroy their lungs, but the proof was there. The humans were not just surviving, they were thriving." Captain Rohr turned toward the crew. "Prepare a report for the Council. They must see this." The Galactic Scientific Council gathered in their grand chamber, a place of light and shadow filled with alien voices. The holographic recording of the human colony was played for all to see. Gasps and murmurs filled the hall. One elder scientist, a tall crystalline being, spoke sharply. "This cannot be tolerated. That world is classified as forbidden. No life form can exist there." Dr. Velix, representing the Ecliptor team, stood calmly. "And yet they do exist. Humans have made it their home. They have built farms, shelters, and technology adapted to this world's storms. Their beacon has been active for decades." The council fell silent. The image of the human woman smiling at the probe replayed on the hologram. Her expression was calm, confident, as if she was daring the galaxy to understand. Finally, one voice broke the silence. It was a gentle, thoughtful tone from the insectoid scholar, Terene. "Maybe the humans do not see it as a death world. Perhaps for them it is simply a challenge." Many disagreed, but none could explain what they had seen. The council decided to send an official delegation to the planet for direct contact. As the meeting ended, Velix stared once more at the image of the lightning-wrapped world. A feeling of curiosity burned in his chest. "Class 14, he said softly. "A planet that kills everything except humans. What are they made of?" Back aboard the Ecliptor, preparations began. The landing team would leave at dawn. The planet rotated slowly beneath them, glowing with storms and fire. Velix stood by the viewport, his reflection faint against the light of the planet. He thought of the humans down there, building, fighting, laughing. How could such fragile creatures master a world that even machines feared? He whispered to himself, maybe this is what makes them human. They find danger, and instead of fleeing, they build a home. The first landing craft was loaded. Engines roared to life. As the ship descended through the storm clouds, lightning flashed across its hull. The crew held their breath. The unknown awaited them below, and somewhere in the chaos humans watched the sky, ready to welcome their uninvited guests. The Ecliptor's landing craft, named Explorer 1, descended through clouds thick as mountains. The thunder outside was so loud it shook the metal walls. Bright flashes of lightning cut through the darkness, painting the inside of the ship in white light. Dr. Velix gripped his seat tightly, trying to keep his hands from trembling. He was a scientist, not a soldier, and his heart pounded as the ship rocked violently. Captain Rohr sat beside him, calm and focused. "Hold steady," the captain said to the pilot. "We must land close to the human beacon." The view outside showed swirling smoke, fire, and dark skies. The storm winds screamed around them, but the ship's shields held. After what felt like forever, the shaking stopped. A green light blinked on the control panel. "Landing complete," said the pilot, exhaling in relief. Velix slowly opened his eyes and looked outside. They had landed on a flat platform built from black metal. Around them stretched a massive landscape, torn, burning, yet strangely alive. The sky glowed orange from distant volcanoes. Rivers of glowing lava snaked between jagged rocks, and huge storm clouds floated low above the surface. But what surprised everyone most was the city. It rose from the chaos like a fortress of light. Tall towers made of crystal and steel pierced the sky. Energy shields shimmered around them, deflecting lightning bolts. Roads glowed with blue light, and between them walked humans, real humans, busy with work as if nothing around them was strange at all. Velix pressed his hands against the viewing glass. They actually built this. Here, he whispered. Captain Rohr nodded slowly. Incredible. A group of armored figures approached their landing pad. Their suits were thick and scratched, painted with red and white markings. One of them stepped forward, her helmet shining in the stormlight. When she spoke, her voice carried through the comms with strength and calm. Welcome to New Avalon, she said. I am Captain Aria Holt, leader of the colony. You must be from the Galactic Council. Velix blinked in awe. Yes, he stammered. I am Dr. Velix, scientific representative of the Council. We are honored to meet you. Aria removed her helmet, revealing a face lined with scars and strength. Her eyes were sharp but kind. She looked around at the alien crew. You're brave to come here, she said. Most species wouldn't risk it. Velix tried to smile. We could say the same about you, Captain Holt. She laughed softly. Fair point. Come, let me show you how we live. The delegation followed her through the main gate. Inside the city, everything seemed impossible. The air shimmered, yet humans walked without masks. There were fields of strange crops growing under transparent domes. Water flowed through glowing pipes. Giant turbines spun, capturing lightning and turning it into energy. Your world is hostile, said Velix carefully. Yet your people seem to live comfortably. Aria nodded. Comfortably might be too generous. But yes, we manage. When our ship crashed here 70 years ago, only a few hundred survived. The planet tried to kill us every single day. But humans are stubborn creatures. We refused to die. She led them into a tall building. Inside was a command center filled with screens and maps. Engineers worked silently while alarms flashed in the background. The walls were covered with metal plates and battle marks. Aria tapped one of the screens showing weather data. This planet doesn't follow normal rules. Its magnetic field shifts every few hours. The storms grow stronger without pattern. The air can change from acidic to breathable in minutes. But we learn to adapt. Velix leaned closer to the display. How? Aria smiled faintly. We used what the planet gave us. The crystals you see in our towers conduct energy. The plants here, though toxic at first, contain compounds that we modified to filter poison from the air. The ground is full of minerals that strengthen metal under high heat. Everything deadly here can also be useful, if you're brave enough to study it. The aliens listened in silent amazement. To them, it sounded like madness. To the humans, it was normal life. Later, Aria led them to a large balcony overlooking the city. From there, they could see the endless storm stretching across the horizon. Bolts of blue lightning struck the energy shields but were absorbed harmlessly into the towers. This world is alive, Aria said softly. It tests us every day. When you fight something this powerful, you either break or become stronger. Velix looked at her with deep respect. And your people chose to become stronger, she nodded. We had no choice. The first generation built shelters from crashed debris. The second generation learned to farm. And now the third generation, my generation, builds cities. The alien team exchanged glances. Most of them came from worlds where comfort was natural and danger was rare. Seeing humans treat a Deathworld as home changed everything they thought they knew. Aria turned to them again. You must be wondering why we never called for rescue. The truth is we did. Our signal was sent for years, but no one came. So we stopped waiting. We decided to build our future here. Velix lowered his head. The Council never received your signal. It was lost in the storm fields. If we had known, Aria raised a hand gently. It doesn't matter now. Maybe it was for the best. Sometimes being forgotten forces you to grow. They spent the day touring the colony. Velix observed laboratories where human scientists worked on adapting alien bacteria. He saw schools where children learned survival science and planetary physics before learning to read stories. He saw a hospital built inside a mountain, its walls reinforced against earthquakes. Everywhere there was activity, laughter, and pride. Humans waved to the aliens as they passed, smiling despite the danger surrounding them. At one point, a young human boy approached Velix and handed him a piece of rock glowing faintly with light. Here, the boy said, smiling. We call this stormstone. It keeps the air clean, Velix accepted it carefully. Thank you. Your people are remarkable, the boy grinned. We just don't give up easily. As the suns of the planet set, the delegation gathered in the colony's main hall. The sky turned deep red and the storms quieted, leaving behind strange beauty. The humans lit torches made of blue crystal that flickered like stars. Captain Arya spoke again, her voice echoing through the hall. I know why you came. You want to understand how we survived. But maybe the better question is why we stayed. Velix looked up. Why did you stay? You could have left once you rebuilt technology. Arya smiled, her gaze distant. Because this world became part of us. It made us stronger, smarter, more united. Every storm taught us something. Every danger gave us purpose. We learned that comfort makes you soft, but challenge makes you grow. This planet reminds us who we truly are, survivors. Her words struck something deep in Velix's heart. He realized this was not madness. It was courage of a kind no other species understood. Night fell, and the alien scientists were given quarters within the colony. Velix couldn't sleep. He stood by the window watching the storm clouds dance over the glowing city. Lightning flashed again and again, but the humans carried on below, repairing towers, checking crops, and patrolling walls. He remembered his own homeworld, peaceful and quiet. Safe, yes, but never alive like this. He began to understand what Tareen, the insectoid scholar, had meant back at the council. For humans, danger was not death. It was life itself. A sudden knock came at the door. Arya stood there, still in her armor. Can't sleep either, she asked. Velix smiled tiredly. I keep thinking about how your people have done the impossible. She laughed softly. Impossible is just another word for something we haven't done yet. He nodded. The council will be amazed when they hear about this. Arya looked out toward the storm again. Let them be amazed. But tell them one thing, Doctor. This world may be called a death world, but for us it's home, and no matter what happens, we will defend it. Lightning struck in the distance, lighting her face in silver light. Velix saw in her eyes the same spark he had seen in every human today. Courage mixed with pride. He finally understood. Humans didn't conquer this world with power. They conquered it with will. And somewhere deep inside, Dr. Velix felt proud just to have met them. Dr. Velix woke to a sound like thunder tearing through the sky. The walls of his quarters trembled and the air vibrated with a low, endless roar. At first, he thought it was another ordinary storm. But when the emergency sirens began to howl across the colony, he knew something was different. The door opened suddenly, and Captain Arya Holt entered, her armor already on. Doctor, we need to move, she said quickly. A Titan gale is coming. Velix blinked in confusion. Titan gale? Arya's eyes were serious. The largest storm this planet can make. It's heading straight for us. You and your team must stay in the inner shelters until it passes. He followed her outside, the ground already rumbling beneath his feet. The wind howled through the metal streets carrying dust and sparks. Humans were running, not in panic but with purpose. Soldiers sealed energy gates, engineers checked shield generators, and workers carried heavy cables through the storm. Everyone knew exactly what to do. Velix tried to speak through the noise. How long until it hits? Less than an hour, Arya shouted back. We've been tracking it for days, but it accelerated too fast to avoid. They reached the central control tower, where the rest of the alien team had gathered. The glass windows shook violently, showing the dark horizon turning blacker by the minute. The storm clouds weren't just moving, they were spinning, forming a massive spiral of electric fire. Captain Rohr looked at the screens with wide eyes. That's not a storm. That's a planetary disaster. Arya shook her head. It's Tuesday. Velix turned to her, stunned. You can't be serious. This storm is large enough to destroy an entire continent. Arya smirked slightly, though her face was tense. It will destroy the weak parts of the continent. That's why we built on the cliffs. High ground gives us a chance to redirect most of the energy. You'll see. The scientists stared in disbelief. Redirect energy? How? One of them asked. Arya pointed to the tall lightning towers outside. Those towers don't just collect power. They channel the storm into the grid. The energy from lightning is absorbed and stored, powering our defenses. If we can hold the shields, we'll survive. And if you can't? Velix asked. She looked out the window. Then we don't. The ground shook again as the storm reached the outer edges of the colony. The wind hit like a wall, bending metal structures and tearing dust from the ground. The alien scientists huddled in the shelter below the command room, but Velix couldn't bring himself to hide. He wanted to see how humans faced something so terrifying. He climbed the stairs to the observation deck. Through the thick glass, he saw the first bolts of lightning strike the towers. The sky lit up in white and blue light. The humans below moved quickly, securing power lines, adjusting shield controls, shouting to one another through the noise. Captain Arya stood at the center of it all, calm and firm, giving orders as if she was born in the storm. Minutes passed, and the storm grew wilder. The shields glowed with energy as wave after wave of lightning crashed against them. One tower exploded in a burst of sparks, throwing debris across the colony. A team of humans ran toward it immediately, their armor glowing from the static charge. Velix watched in horror. "They'll be killed!" he shouted. Arya turned, hearing him through her communicator. "They won't. They've done this before." Sure enough, the team reached the broken tower and worked with incredible speed. They replaced fuses, reconnected the conduits, and reactivated the shield node. Within minutes, the power grid stabilized again. Even the storm seemed surprised. Hours passed, and the wind screamed louder. The ground cracked open near the edge of the city, swallowing entire roads. A warning light flashed red on the main control panel. "Shield 4 is losing power," shouted one of the engineers. "Redirect grid flow from Tower 6, Arya commanded. "Use backup batteries." The aliens watched in awe as humans worked tirelessly, never giving up even as their world tried to tear itself apart. Children and elders were already in underground shelters, but everyone else was outside doing their part. Then came a blinding flash, the biggest lightning strike yet. It hit the central tower directly, shaking the entire colony. For a moment, the shield flickered and went dark. The roar of the wind filled the air. Dust and debris swirled in a deadly spiral. "Shields are down," yelled a technician. "Power surge too high." Arya gritted her teeth. "Manual reset now." Before anyone could stop her, she ran out into the open storm. "Arya, no," Velix shouted, slamming a hand against the glass. But she was already gone. Outside, Arya climbed the damaged tower, sparks flying all around her. Her armor smoked from heat and electricity. The wind tried to throw her off, but she held on tight, gripping the metal with gloved hands. She reached the main junction box and began reconnecting the power cables, her movements fast and sure. The aliens watched helplessly from inside. "She'll be electrocuted," cried Lyra. Velix clenched his fists. "She knows the risk. She's saving her people." Then, through the blinding light, they saw her raise her hand to the sky, and lightning struck again. The energy surged down the tower, blasting through the conduits and flooding the power grid. The lights in the city flickered, once, twice, and then came back stronger than before. The shields roared to life, shining like a dome of blue glass. The storm's fury hit them again, but this time the barriers held. Arya climbed down slowly, her suit scorched but her smile bright. "That should do it," she said through the comm. Velix felt his chest tighten with admiration. "She did it," he whispered. She actually did it. For the next 12 hours, the Titan gale continued to rage, but the colony endured. Every system held, every shield stood strong. The humans fought the storm as if it were a living enemy, and won. When morning finally came, the sky was clear for the first time in weeks. The sun rose over the horizon, turning the black clouds into gold. The city still stood, glowing like a jewel among the ashes. The alien stepped outside, stunned by the sight. The air was fresh, though it still smelled faintly of ozone. Birds, strange ones with metal-like feathers, flew across the sky, singing sharp electric notes. Arya stood on the main wall, her helmet tucked under her arm, watching the sunrise. Velix walked up to her. "Captain Holt," he said softly, "I've never seen anything like that." "You faced the storm as if it were a test," she smiled faintly. "That's exactly what it was. Every storm teaches us something new. This one reminded us why we're still here. You risked your life," he said. Arya looked at the horizon. "Every human here does every day. It's the price of living on Haven 14. But we don't see it as suffering. We see it as being alive." The alien scientists spent the next few days helping repair minor damages. They collected data on the storm's energy and atmospheric patterns. Velix found himself writing long reports, but his words felt small compared to what he had witnessed. He wrote, "Humans possess a strange strength that cannot be measured in biology or technology. They face destruction with courage and creativity. What others call impossible, they call home. Later that night, Arya visited the research tent. "I read your report," she said with a grin. "You make us sound like heroes," Velix smiled. "Maybe you are," she shrugged. "We're just people who refuse to quit." He looked around at the rebuilt towers, the glowing streets, and the laughter echoing through the colony. "And that," he said softly, "is what makes heroes." When the Ecliptor sent its daily transmission to the Galactic Council, Velix included video footage of the storm, the lightning, the destruction, and the humans standing firm. He ended the message with a simple note. "They call it a Deathworld. Humans call it home." The council members watching from distant star systems could not believe their eyes. A Class 14 Deathworld, survived, tamed, and lived upon by humans alone. But for the people of New Avalon, it was just another day. The video transmission from New Avalon had traveled across light years, reaching the halls of the Galactic Council. Alien delegates gathered in massive chambers carved from crystal and metal, each species represented by its most respected leaders. The footage showed the humans standing amid a Class 14 storm, repairing shattered towers, and laughing in the face of destruction. The chamber erupted in debate. "This is impossible," said Elder Kristen, a crystalline scholar, his voice echoing through the hall. "No species could survive on a world of such danger. Those humans must be abnormal, experimental." "They are alive," said Terene, the insectoid scholar who had long speculated about human resilience, "and they are thriving. Their city survived a Titan gale without losing life. That is unprecedented." A towering figure of the Draxan species slammed a claw on the table. "Precedent or not, this is reckless. How can we allow a species to claim a planet that is beyond all known limits? It could destabilize the entire sector if they fail." Velix, watching through a live link, took a seat among the council advisors. "With respect," he said, "humans do not see failure the way other species do. The planet challenges them and they rise to it. Their adaptation is remarkable. This is not recklessness. It is ingenuity and courage." The chamber fell silent. Many delegates had never understood human willpower. To some, it seemed foolish. To others, it was inspiring. The council called for a full investigation. Teams of scientists, engineers, and strategists were assigned to study New Avalon systems. Reports streamed in daily. Lightning towers functioning perfectly, agriculture thriving in acidic soil, energy grids capturing storms more efficiently than expected, and children running freely across rooftops while robots repaired nearby structures. Every report reinforced the same conclusion. Humans had not merely survived. They had mastered the planet. Council debates grew more heated. "We cannot officially recognize this as human territory," argued a spiny diplomat. "It sets a dangerous precedent. No other species could live there." "What right do they have?" Trine leaned forward, clicking mandibles. "Do we have a right to deny life to those who choose to survive?" They did not wait for permission. They built their home using knowledge, skill, and courage. Should we take that from them? Velix nodded. "Their right is earned through action. No laws or councils created the ability to survive on a Class 14 world. They created it themselves." The debate continued for days. Aliens argued, negotiated, and sometimes shouted. But one thing became clear. Humanity had already claimed the planet, and nothing in the galaxy could take that away. Back on New Avalon, the humans carried on. They had repaired every tower damaged by the Titan gale and built additional shields in preparation for future storms. Every human, from children to elders, contributed in some way. Engineers tested energy conduits, farmers secured crops, and soldiers reinforced walls. Arya Holt walked through the colony, inspecting repairs. "The council will decide eventually," she said to Velix, who accompanied her. "But we do not wait for permission. We live, we adapt, we build." Velix shook his head, impressed. "Your people don't just survive, they thrive in chaos." Arya smiled faintly. "Chaos is part of life here. We do not see it as an enemy. We see it as opportunity. Every storm teaches us something new. Every danger reminds us why we are alive." Velix realized that no human words could fully explain their mindset. It was not luck, technology, or planning alone. It was determination, the unshakable belief that nothing, not even a planet designed to destroy them, could stop humanity. The Galactic Council finally reached a decision. A vote was held lasting several hours with each species casting its judgment. Many opposed recognition, citing safety concerns and precedent. Many supported it, inspired by the humans' courage. At last, the head of the council, a venerable being made entirely of light, rose and spoke. The vote is complete. By majority, the Galactic Council recognizes New Avalon as officially human territory, the first settlement of its kind, a Class 14 Deathworld claimed, inhabited, and mastered by humans. Cheering erupted among the supporters. Velix felt a wave of pride swell in his chest. Arya received the news calmly as always. She stood atop the central tower looking out across the city, her eyes reflecting the rising sun. "It does not change us," she said quietly. "We already knew this was our home. The Council's recognition only tells the galaxy what we already know. Humanity belongs here." Even as the Council celebrated, other species began to visit New Avalon. Researchers, traders, and curious travelers arrived to witness human ingenuity firsthand. They were taught to harness storm energy, to farm in acidic soil, and to build structures that could survive earthquakes and lava flows. Most visitors struggled at first. The storms were deadly, the air was sharp and the terrain unyielding, yet humans guided them patiently, showing the ways to adapt. Slowly, some visitors learned, some failed, and some left, but all carried back a story of human determination that spread across the galaxy. Velix observed the visitors with fascination. "They learn best by doing," he noted. "Humans teach, but only if you are willing to face the challenge yourself." Arya laughed softly. "That is how it should be. Comfort does not teach you survival. Fear does. Danger teaches you to grow." The humans didn't just survive storms. They reshaped the land. Rivers were diverted to irrigate crops. Volcanic soil was mined for minerals. Hills became platforms for energy towers. The Titan gale, which had once threatened to destroy the colony, became a resource, a renewable source of energy for every building. The aliens watched in disbelief. To most species, a storm was a disaster. To humans, it was a tool. They do not fight the planet, Velix realized. They work with it and they turn it into strength. Months passed. New Avalon expanded. Humans built spaceports and observation stations, mapping the storm patterns to anticipate energy surges. They crafted vehicles that could move across lava rivers and withstand lightning strikes. Every structure, every device, every action was a testament to their ingenuity and courage. Arya Holt looked over the city one evening, her eyes scanning the glowing towers and shimmering fields. "We have made something here," she said quietly. "Not just a colony, not just a home. We've made a world that challenges us and teaches us to be more than we were yesterday." Velix, standing beside her, felt the truth in her words. Humanity did not simply occupy a planet. They transformed it into a proof of human spirit, a demonstration that life could flourish where others would fail. In distant star systems, the story of New Avalon began to inspire. Humans were no longer just explorers or colonists. They became symbols of courage, ingenuity, and perseverance. Other species, some skeptical, some envious, had to acknowledge the truth. Where the galaxy saw impossible, humans saw opportunity. Where others would flee, humans stayed. Where the galaxy feared death, humans claimed home. As night fell on New Avalon, the city shone beneath the storm clouds powered by lightning and courage. Humans worked, laughed, and rested in shifts. The air was thick with energy, but it was also alive with possibility. Velix, observing from the balcony of the command center, whispered to himself, "The Council has recognized them. But it doesn't matter. They were already home. And in claiming this death world, humans have claimed something far greater, proof that no world can break them." Far above, the galaxy watched and slowly began to understand. Humans were not only survivors, they were pioneers, warriors of will and masters of the impossible. And New Avalon, once feared as a death world, would shine as a beacon of human achievement for generations to come. Years passed on New Avalon, and the humans who had once arrived as a small group of survivors had grown into a thriving civilization. The storm-swept cliffs that had tested their courage became foundations for new cities. Lightning towers reached higher into the sky, capturing more energy than anyone had believed possible. The once feared Titan gales were no longer disasters. They were predictable, harnessed, and even admired. Dr. Velix, now older and with streaks of gray across his 4 eyes, returned to the colony to observe the changes. He had visited many times since the Council recognized the humans' claim. Each time he marveled at the transformation. The colony had grown far beyond simple survival. It was a testament to human ingenuity, courage, and unity. Captain Aria Holt had long retired from her position as leader, passing command to a younger generation trained under her guidance. The new leader, Commander Joran, led with calm confidence and clear vision, keeping the colony organized and ready for any danger the planet could send. Velix walked through the city streets, still glowing under the soft light of storm-harvested crystals. Children ran freely along metal pathways, their laughter mixing with the hum of energy towers. Engineers adjusted shield grids, farmers tended to crops that thrived in acidic soil, and scientists studied the planet's unique environment for new discoveries. Everywhere he looked, humans moved with purpose, as if every challenge had shaped them into a species capable of mastering the impossible. Velix was taken to the council hall of the colony, a massive building carved into black rock and reinforced with crystal beams. Holographic maps of the planet's weather systems rotated slowly above the room. Aria, now older but still radiating strength, greeted him warmly. "You've returned," she said, smiling. "Come to see the world we've built?" Velix nodded. "It is more than I could have imagined. Every time I visit, I learn something new about your people." Aria gestured toward the maps. "We've expanded the energy network, mapped every storm pattern, and even begun minor terraforming projects. The planet is no longer a threat. It has become a partner." Velix studied the maps carefully. "You've turned what most species would flee from into opportunity." "That is remarkable," Aria nodded. "Humans do not flee danger. We learn from it, adapt, and grow. That is what makes us human." Outside, the sounds of life on the planet continued. The alien visitors who came to study the humans were still present, learning how to survive and even thrive on this death world. Many had failed at first, overwhelmed by the storms or confused by the harsh environment. But those who remained were guided by humans' patience and resilience. Slowly, they too began to understand the philosophy of life on New Avalon: courage, creativity, and perseverance. Velix walked to the observation deck, where the northern cliffs overlooked the glowing city. He saw ships departing and arriving, carrying researchers and traders, all eager to learn from humanity's success. The energy towers glimmered with captured lightning, while fields of genetically adapted crops swayed gently in the breeze. Even the youngest children knew how to respect and work with the planet, helping their elders stabilize small energy nodes and protect the city from minor tremors. "It is more than a colony," Velix said quietly to Aria. "It is a model for the galaxy, proof that life can flourish anywhere if the people are strong enough." Aria looked toward the horizon, where storm clouds began forming again in the distance. A faint smile touched her lips. "This planet will always challenge us, but that is the beauty of it. Every storm reminds us to stay strong, united, and creative. Every danger makes us more human." Over time, New Avalon became known as Haven 14, a symbol across the galaxy of human courage and innovation. Stories of the first settlers' struggle spread, inspiring other species. Scholars wrote about the humans' adaptation to extreme environments. Engineers studied the storm-harvesting towers, and children on distant worlds grew up learning the story of humans who had claimed a death world as their own. Velix often found himself thinking about those first moments, when the Ecliptor landed, when he first saw humans walking through storms that would have killed anyone else. How had such a fragile species managed what seemed impossible? And then he realized it was not fragility that defined humans, but determination. Where others saw destruction, humans saw opportunity. Where others saw fear, humans found courage. One day, a group of alien diplomats visited New Avalon. They wanted to study human society, understand their methods, and perhaps even replicate some of their success. Velix observed the meetings from a distance. The aliens were cautious, skeptical at first, but as they watched humans instruct visitors on storm adaptation, energy harnessing, and survival strategy, their skepticism faded. "You do not just survive here," one diplomat said to Aria. "You thrive. You teach us what we never thought possible." Aria smiled softly. "That is what life demands. If you only try to survive, you are weak. If you learn to thrive, even in the worst conditions, you grow stronger every day." The diplomat nodded. Your species has rewritten the rules of possibility. Arya laughed gently. No rules were rewritten. We just refused to give up. As the years went by, the human population grew. Cities expanded across cliffs and plateaus, all designed to withstand the planet's storms. Children learned not only mathematics and science, but also survival skills and the philosophy of adaptation. Schools included courses on predicting storm patterns, building storm-proof structures, and working with the planet rather than against it. Velix watched as young humans experimented with new technology, testing drones that could operate in the most extreme conditions, and experimenting with energy grids capable of storing even the largest storms. They played games that doubled as training exercises, teaching teamwork, resilience, and ingenuity. This is more than a colony, Velix whispered to himself. It is a civilization forged in fire, storms, and courage. At night, the city glowed beneath the clouds. Lightning towers sent pulses of captured energy across the colony. The rivers of plasma glimmered faintly, and the domed farms shone softly in the dark. Families gathered, sharing stories of the first settlers and the storms they had survived. Elders taught young humans the lessons of perseverance, and the cycle of courage continued. Velix reflected on how far the humans had come. The first settlers had survived by willpower. Their children grew up mastering the planet, and their grandchildren would inherit a Deathworld turned into home. The humans of New Avalon had transformed a place of fear into a place of pride. Even the storms no longer inspired terror. They were teachers, partners, and sources of energy. Every strike of lightning reminded humans of their strength and resilience. Arya, now walking through the city at sunset, stopped atop the main tower. She looked down at the glowing streets, the energy grids humming steadily, and the children playing safely in fields once considered deadly. She thought of the first settlers, the ones who had landed here with little more than courage and hope. A young human approached her, holding a small crystal that shimmered faintly. "We call this a storm heart," he said. "It helps power our home," Arya smiled. "It is more than a crystal," she said. "It is proof. Proof that we can thrive anywhere, that we can survive anything, that we can turn danger into home." Velix, standing nearby, felt a deep sense of admiration. "They do not just survive," he said softly. "They transform. They inspire. They lead." Arya looked out to the distant horizon where new storms were forming. "And we will continue," she said. "We are human. We face challenges, we endure, and we grow stronger." The story of New Avalon spread across the galaxy. Other species began to understand what humans truly represented: resilience, ingenuity, and courage. Where others saw impossible, humans saw opportunity. Where the galaxy feared death, humans claimed life. And on Haven 14, humans continued to live boldly, shaping their death world into a home that reflected the very best of humanity: strength, creativity, and an unshakable will. Velix watched the glowing city one last time before leaving. He knew that no matter where humans went next, they would always carry this lesson with them. Fear is temporary. Courage is permanent. Humanity thrives where others fail. And somewhere deep in the heart of the planet, a new storm began to form, and the humans smiled.